Welcome, everybody, back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Padres offense and the struggles of this offense. So early on, I think we've all got really frustrated. A ton of games where this team has scored with 2 runs. Luckily, yesterday, they were able to come away with one that really didn't feel like they deserved to win outside of Yu Darvish, because Yu Darvish was an absolute monster yesterday. But a lot of this team struggles have come down to can't generate any offense, leaving a lot of guys on base. And you look in the numbers, and the numbers tell you the same thing. This team is currently first in the league in strikeouts. They are 22nd in slugging, and they're 18th in OPS. So they're really struggling across the board. You've had some really, really good moments from Manny Machado, especially in the home opener. You've seen him come up with some clutch hits. We've seen Eric Hosmer and Jurickson Profar play excellent early on. But outside of those 3 guys, this team has struggled a lot. It feels like when they get guys on with 1 out or no outs, it's not a guarantee that they're even going to put up 1 run on the board. So it's been really frustrating early on. But my question for you, Chase, is the Padres offense going to wake up?
That's a hard answer. I mean, when you look at other aspects of it, they're tied for 18th in home runs. They are second in walks, which is a good thing, but you also lead the league in strikeouts. So they have a decent amount of walks. I mean, you're up there in stolen bases. There's a couple of guys that got caught stealing. Whether or not they've gotten pushed off the bag is a different story. You're getting guys in scoring position, you're walking, and you're stealing bases. And that should lead to what we should see is a more overall scoring, but that's not happening. I mean, we had bases loaded against the Braves. I'm forgetting which night it was. And the only reason we scored was because Austin Nola got my pitch. And then Jake Cronenworth beat out a fielder's choice. That's the only reason we scored those 2 runs. They didn't hit it out of the infield. 1 guy got hit, and there was a ground ball to the second baseman that Cronenworth just happened to be faster than the throw from second to first. That's not very encouraging. We haven't really seen any power really outside of Profar. Alfaro's hit 1, Nola's hit 1, Grisham's hit 1, but Profar's leading the team in home runs. If that's going to continue to happen, and whoever made that bet is an incredibly lucky man. I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting that. It's kind of blasphemous to see that Profar is leading the team in power. You look at Hosmer, his overall numbers right now is that he doesn't really hit the ball in the air. He's had one of the lowest rates of fly balls. Cronenworth has been struggling. Grisham feels like an empty hole. I mean, he either will get a hit or go 0-4. We were looking at his past series, and he hasn't had, I think, more than 2 hits in a game, in an entire series, and then gone 0-4 basically the rest. I mean, yeah, you're walking, but what are you doing other than that? You don't hit the ball hard. You're not hitting a lot of doubles. You're not hitting a lot of gaps. You're not hitting home runs. You're getting on base at a decent rate, but getting on base doesn't do you any good if you're not going to score those runs. I mean, your spaces, you have the speed to do so. You guys are getting in scoring position without really risking anything else, but you can't bring guys in. We are striking out way too much. Grisham, Myers, Cronenworth at times, though he's been a little more one of the more consistent guys. Profar's had some pretty good games, but when he's off, he's been pretty off. It's just been none of the team has clicked at the same time. It's one will go 5 for 6, the rest of them will go like 1 for 24. That's it. You're not gonna win games when one guy is doing all the hitting and everyone else is either striking out or just weak ground balls to any of the infielders and barely hitting it out of the infield. So I do expect the Padres to actually do some decent hitting. I mean, we're playing the Reds. If you look at all their pitchers, they aren't very good. Lodolo has an ERA of 11 right now. San Martin hasn't been very good in his time. Neither has Gutierrez. Gutierrez has nearly a 5 ERA in 200 innings. If we can't hit against these guys, I'm scared for the Dodgers series. We should completely wipe the Reds. We have some good pitchers. Mania should go out and dominate today. But if we are going to continue to win 2-0 ball games against some of the league's weaker pitching, when we get to guys like the Dodgers and Giants and even the Braves, we get lucked out against that last game on the Braves. We honestly shouldn't have won that. We are going to fall to the bottom of the league because we're not going to be able to beat the higher level pitching. And you can argue Tatis is out, but that doesn't make it any better because then we're just relying on one guy when our payroll is for $200 million. We should be wiping the floor with these teams. And if we don't hit against the Reds, we might as well get swept by the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for the Reds, I agree with you too, Chase. Like you brought it up, you think they're going to hit well. I think they're going to hit well against the Reds too. I mean, I hope so. If they don't, then you're going to be seriously concerned. But you brought up Sunday's game where the only runs you score because Noah gets hit and Cronenworth beats out a double play ball. Well, let's go to Friday. So the home opener is on Thursday. Machado goes off, right? Padres win 12-1, offensive explosion. Friday, Machado also goes off again. He goes 3 for 4, but he's hitting second in the lineup. The next guys in the lineup are Cronenworth, Voit, Hosmer, and Profar. All of them go 0 for 4. That's why you lose that game. And that's what you see is just there's one guy hitting and no one else is hitting. I'm actually going to bring up the approach a little bit in this because I think a lot of times, like, and especially like I would say in 2020, when you saw the Padres come up with a much more patient approach, it was nice. Okay, these guys are getting on base. They're getting the big innings. But when your entire team is based on, is the other starter going to implode basically? And is he going to hit a bunch of our guys? Is he going to be ridiculously wild? Those are the games where they score 10 runs, 12 runs, whatever it is. The 2 games this year where they've done that. Outside of that, you have a couple 5-run games, but you pretty much have 2 runs or less every single night. And that's the problem when everyone's just kind of patient at the plate. We look at it, and for me, if you're the first guy leading off the inning and you're patient, you draw a walk, or you end up striking out, I don't think it's the biggest deal. But when there's a guy on and there's 2 outs and you strike out looking, that is so aggravating to watch. And we keep seeing it over and over again where it's just, it seems like there's no aggression whatsoever. And I get it. You don't want to be overly aggressive at the plate, but there's a big gap between being overly aggressive and just staring down strike 3 with guys on second and third, because it feels like we've seen that not from one guy, but from across the entire lineup this year. So I think that, yes, we can blame a lot of this on Tatis not being there. I think when Tatis comes back, I mean, you brought it up, Chase, that you can't rely on one guy. I do think it makes everyone around him so much better because teams are just afraid to pitch to Tatis, honestly. But it is tough because you can't rely on only Tatis and Machado. So I feel like some of these guys need to come around. Voigt's been bad. Now, Cronenworth hasn't been good, but I expect him to bounce back. Grisham's been horrendous. Abrams has really struggled. I kind of want to see a little bit more of ha-seong Kim at shortstop. I want to see a little bit more of Abrams in the outfield. I want those guys to get some consistent at-bats because I think that they can help this team in the future a lot. But it's definitely been frustrating across the board, and you just see a lack of offense. And I think a lot of that is that, hitting with runners in scoring position has not been a strong suit of this team. Feels like every single inning a guy gets left in scoring position. And if not every inning, that's because no one's hitting at all. But usually it feels like, and also in the first inning in yesterday's game, you brought up how the 2 runs were scored. What about the first inning where 3 guys got on base, no one reached via a hit, and there was 1 out, and we still couldn't bring a guy in? No one got a hit. No one could even bring someone in with 1 out. So we see that so often where just no one's getting brought in at all. So hopefully, this offense does wake up, but I don't see a sign that says, oh yeah, that's gonna happen. They might have a couple explosion games, but they need to consistently score 4 runs a game. And if they do score 4 runs a game, this team, if they could score 4 to 5 runs a game, like every single night, I'm not talking like having big blow up games. If they could consistently go 4 or 5, they'd win 100 games. That's how dominant this starting pitching is going to be. But when you can't beat a team that puts up, a couple runs, it's really tough because you're consistently putting up 2 runs. Losing games 3-2 is so frustrating, and especially when you look up and you go, okay, we went 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. We left 15 guys on base. It's brutal. So got to come up with some clutch hits. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But Chase, anything else you want to add on this offense? And hopefully if we see a little bit of them waking up.
Yeah, so I was just going over the last Atlanta series, and so the 2 losses that we had, Saturday when we lost 2-5, we walked 1 time in total. Grisham walked once, and that was our only walk. And then we struck out 11 times. The day before that, we walked 0 times and struck out 16. The 2 games that we walked over 5 times were our 12-1 win and then our 2-1 win, where we walked 8 times and struck out 6. You walked 8 times and got 2 runs. You had 2 times where you had the bases loaded, and like we said earlier, you only scored because of a hit by pitch, and then Cronenworth beat out a ground ball. So it seems, hey, when we're walking, we win games. We may not win by a lot, or we might not score all those runs, but at least we have a decent approach at the plate and we're not striking out. When that discipline goes right out the window, we get blown out. That's what it seems like. And just gonna go to one of the Giants' losses here. Struck out 14 times, walked 6 times. We lost 13-2. Let's see this close game, 1-2 versus the Giants. We walked once and struck out 9 times. You're not gonna win when your whole lineup is only walking a total of 1 time. They have these games where they get 5 to 8 walks, but then there's other games where there's no discipline. They're not walking at all, and they're striking out over 9+ times. You're not going to win like that. If you can't get on base via hitting, which a lot of guys haven't been hitting, you need to walk. And when there's no walks, nothing's going to happen. And we've seen it. We've seen outside of really the blow up game, most games we've only really scored 2 runs, maybe 3 at most. You're not going to win a lot of games off 2 to 3 runs, especially when you go against the Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants. And that's just in our league. Then you have other teams, Cardinals, the Brewers, maybe the Mets. I mean, you have all these teams that have end rotations. You're not going to win with 2 runs.
Yeah, I'm definitely there with you. So one thing I want to do real quick, and we're going to take off in a couple minutes here, but I'm going to go through these games. I'm going to take away the 10-run win and the 12-run win. So our offensive output: 2, 3, 5, 4, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. That's brutal. That's brutal. 2 games with over 4 runs. That's you're not going to win like that. So yeah, this offense definitely has to wake up. I mean, I think everyone can see it, but it's just a question of, why are they struggling? I don't think this is the best lineup in the world. However, the pitching is amazing. This team might be forced to add an impact bat because it's like, hey, the pitching is this good. We're getting Fernando back, and we have to see when he comes back as well. But yeah, the offensive struggles have been big time. So I think that's all for the offense. I do want to bring this up real quickly. We are going to be doing a giveaway for 2 tickets in the Dodgers series, either the Saturday game or the Sunday game, likely the Saturday game. We're going to be doing that on Thursday in our listener community, which is in the description. It's through an app called Airtime. I don't think a lot of people are familiar with it. We're going to be live chatting throughout all the games there. A handful of people have already joined, so if you guys want to join there, I'm going to bring it up again on Wednesday, but probably won't bring it up that much after that. But if you guys want to win 2 Dodgers series tickets, you can join there. And also, it's a really fun place where we can just, talk throughout the games. And basically, me and Chase and Isaac will hop in there and hop on the video chat as well and bring you guys up. So you guys are able to video chat. We're able to share different stuff and share different screens. But really fun, very similar to Discord. But yeah, if you guys want to join and potentially win the giveaway, join there. And I will let you guys know about that again on Wednesday. But that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully this Red Series is a little bit of a wake-up call for this offense, and we see everyone get going. Pitching, continue to be dominant. Sean Mania has been absolutely brilliant. Hopefully he continues that tonight. And hopefully see Gore ball out on Wednesday. But with that said, thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.